Have you ever noticed how looking back on your story can help you understand who you are and where you're going? Hello, friends. Pastor Jerry here, and welcome to week 13 of Scripture for the Journey, the Bible in a Year. We're already a fourth of the way through the Bible, and I hope you're enjoying the journey. Today, on Palm Sunday, I'll be reviewing the book of First Chronicles. First Chronicles retells Israel's story from a fresh angle. If Samuel and Kings often read like a historical account filled with political drama and consequence, Chronicles feels more like a pastoral reflection. Written after the exile, it looks backward in order to help a wounded community understand its identity and purpose moving forward. First Chronicles asks a gentle but important question: who are we, and how has God remained faithful to us? The book opens with long genealogies, which many readers are tempted to skip. But these lists matter deeply. They name generations and families and tribes, reminding the people that they belong to a story much larger than themselves. After exile and loss, remembering names becomes an act of hope. First Chronicles insists that no one is forgotten and that identity is rooted in relationship and history. At the center of First Chronicles is David, but this is not a full biography. The chronicler intentionally reshapes the story. Much of David's moral failure and political struggle is left out. Instead, the focus is on David as a worshiper, organizer, and leader who prepares the way for future faithfulness. This isn't denial of the past, but a theological choice. First Chronicles highlights what sustains faith rather than what fractures it. David's role in organizing worship receives special attention. Musicians, singers, gatekeepers, and priests are named as honored. Worship isn't an afterthought. It's central to communal life. First Chronicles reminds us that worship shapes identity, and when people gather to praise and pray and remember God's goodness, they're formed into a faithful community. The Ark of the Covenant takes on renewed importance in this retelling. David's desire to bring the Ark to Jerusalem reflects a longing to center life around God's presence. The joy, reverence, and care surrounding the Ark show that worship involves both celebration and responsibility. God's presence isn't a gift that calls for intention and humility. First Chronicles also emphasizes God's covenant with David. The promise that David's line will endure is highlighted as a source of hope, especially for a people who've lost kingship and independence. This covenant is not portrayed as political power, but as God's enduring commitment to relationship. The chronicler points forward, reminding the community that God's promises are not undone by present hardship. Leadership in First Chronicles is framed differently than in Kings. David's authority flows from devotion rather than dominance. His success is connected to seeking God, listening for guidance, and honoring sacred rhythms. This portrayal offers a model of leadership rooted in worship and trust, especially meaningful for a community rebuilding after exile. The book also underscores the importance of preparation. David doesn't build the temple himself, but he gathers resources, organizes people, and prepares the next generation. First Chronicles honors this kind of faithfulness. Not every calling is about completion. Some callings are about setting the stage for others to continue the work. For the post-exilic community, this message would have been deeply encouraging. They were rebuilding without a king, without independence, and without former glory. First Chronicles reassures them that faithfulness does not depend on status or strength. God's presence remains with people who worship, remember, and seek God sincerely. For us today, First Chronicles invites reflection on memory and meaning. What parts of our story help anchor our faith? What practices sustain us when circumstances change? The book encourages us to remember not only failures, but moments of faithfulness that that point to God's steady presence. First Chronicles also reminds us that worship is not confined to individual devotion. It's communal and participatory. Everyone has a role. Faith grows stronger when it's shared, named, and practiced together. As you reflect on First Chronicles, consider this question. How does remembering God's faithfulness in the past help you trust God with the future? This book assures us that our identity is shaped not by our worst moments, but by God's enduring covenant and grace. Next week, we'll turn to 2 Chronicles, where the story continues with a focus on kings, reform, and the hope of return. But for now, 1 Chronicles invites us to hold on to this truth. Looking back with faith can help us move forward with hope, clarity, and renewed purpose. And my friends, if this journey through Scripture is meaningful to you, I invite you to like this video, and share it with someone who might appreciate it, and leave a comment letting me know what stood out to you today. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you can walk through all 66 books of the Bible with us 1 week at a time. We're already a quarter of the way there. God bless you, my friends, today and always.